if this is getting off topic, but it's something that I was talking to my brother about. I went up, saw my brother and parents and stuff, and we were talking about being comfortable and being uncomfortable. And I don't know if I think I started the conversation, but
You would.
we were just we were just trying to figure it out, and I was saying like to be uncomfortable is uh is what we kind of desire, I think. And when we're too comfortable, that I feel like that can lead to depression
Yes.
because we're not moving forward. And whether that's like hardwired into us through, if you believe in evolution or whatever, like the desire to progress is so strong that um when we're too comfortable, we're not fulfilling that need, and we realize it at like some subconscious level maybe, and that makes us not feel like we're doing good enough, I think.
Yeah, I feel like a big challenge with that is like the like being in that comfortable space and then realizing that there has to be that dose of the uncomfortable or start to reach towards it. And that is almost its own kind of like meta uncomfortable spot, like making that distance, bridging that gap, and assimilating the new. Like you gotta regularly dose yourself up with that uncomfortable, for just, part of the adventures of life, but for the learning of life. But yeah, also it's like training as survival would deem it. Like it would seem like it at like some primal evolutionary part, or like your epigenetics part. It's like, well, the things that have helped humans survive, it's always been accompanied by some uncomfortable, and then there's a celebration after the uncomfortable. And if you're not dipping into that uncomfortable space, there must not be some of those survival pieces going on. I don't know what's going on. Maybe you're sick right now. I mean, you must be, because you're not taking part in the things of life that require some of those efforts and such. So it's like it's like going in all directions. Like we know we have to be uncomfortable even a little bit. It's like it's a magic pill, and just the way that I view it automatically is like my like pushing away from it stuff is some like trying to grapple with. It's like, convinced as I may be, I still and conditioned to be in these certain ways. And so I know that I've got to mix things up maybe randomly, and that helps me just get aspire to more uncomfortable spaces. Practice the uncomfortable, though. Another point of that is practice the uncomfortable, because surely the uncomfortable reaches your door, at unexpected times. And so it is a great practice to hurl yourself into life, and rather than those like random circumstances coming at you, and not having those skills of how to deal. And then and then also one last thing on that thought is like getting so comfortable that you've put the drain through your reservoir of like that, like kind of like reaching towards levels of uncomfortable that you can like come into and then come down from, if you get just comfortable. And so then anything coming at you may seem a lot tougher than it is, because it's a lot of sensation that you're not used to. Any little bit that tweaks out of that comfortable space, it can seem like kind of tough. So it's almost like its own kind of flip side coin or whatever. But after a while, the comfortable space becomes uncomfortable, and then you don't even have comfort to turn to, because you let that kind of close in on you. Is something that could happen. I see. And yeah, it's just a good reminder. We all need to remind each other that we got to dose up on uncomfortable. Yeah. Word.
And another thing with that is our minds, we cycle through the same thoughts every single day. Everything we thought today will go into tomorrow, unless we actively, consciously are aware of what we're thinking, and we choose do I want to be thinking this? Do I want to get up and like make this for breakfast? Or, all of the things. It's a pattern. Thinking is a habit, whether we're choosing it or not, we're doing it. And so you can get so locked into this habit and way of being. And if you're in a comfort seeking mode, you're like, I need a few days. But if that few days turns into a few weeks, few months, few years, you get kind of bored. I feel like you get bored and you're afraid to leave that comfort zone because you don't know what will happen. And there's no creativity. So you're not expressing yourself to the world, and you lose yourself in that pocket of like habit.
Mhm.
You can't really and connect with people if you don't know who you are underneath the habit of comfort.
Underneath the boredom of the same things or the thoughts unchecked, you wouldn't know who you are as well.
Yeah, because you're just sort of, it's like, you know who you are as someone who likes comfort, right? You know what makes you feel comfortable at that point. But then, like, if I'm not going out and dancing or going and doing something, I like to try lots of new things, but I can get where I'm like, I don't feel like working out. I don't feel like doing this. I just want comfort. And then, yeah, like you were saying, like comfort doesn't, eventually it just feels kind of stressful too. I'm not connecting, I'm not expressing, I'm not connected to the vitality and creativity that discomfort inspires.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
true.
So the comfort shrinks your world, essentially. When you withdraw the comfort, it shrinks your world, and that in turn shrinks you in a way, because if you're not doing those things that you would normally do, you're it shrinks you in a weird way, not like literally shrinks you. I mean, it could, but yeah. But it shrinks who you are. Like, if you're not comfortable going out and playing a sport, but not like you could play that sport, but you're uncomfortable because you have anxiety or whatever about, people, then that's a part of you that you either haven't discovered or you're not, using, and then it kind of dies away, dies off.
Yeah, I mean, you build some momentum as you communicate more, and then if you've had a good period of not being out and about or talking with people, even just like an extended time with anybody else, like there's a space when you do start that like connection with people again, or talking and trying to listen, like it's like it sounds a little foreign, and it's like you have to give it time again to build into understanding how to communicate again. I mean, this is just a good example of having some uncomfortableness. So it's like, although you may not want to approach the situation for just that social aspect you used as an example, know that the damage of not being in that social space, as anxious, strident as it might be or whatever, like it's like you gotta, and the damage is, you're gonna lose the skill of, I mean, or be not as, yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Uncomfortable definitely relates to skills a lot. Like playing the piano, it's like, oh, it's fine if I'm just doodling around, but then when it comes to like how you actually press the note, and like say a legato, like how your fingers go, like you're supposed to like roll the wrists and it like come back based on whatever note it is, like you got to get that right, that kind of like preciseness. And like sitting at the piano, like it's like, oh, I don't want to be sitting upright and like making sure my hands are the certain way. it's so uncomfortable, and it seems so simple, but it's like it's so uncomfortable partly because it's this discipline aspect that you have to like be, striving towards. And I don't know if uncomfortable and discipline are necessarily like always exactly coinciding, but the idea of like tending to something exactly for me with its discipline, like that's been something that's been so uncomfortable. And like when I get that chance to just be like berserk, or like lifting weights or something, or like something that like gives an instant release of like this feels good or whatever, or when it's just something different, like even though it's challenging but it's different, like it doesn't take that like discipline aspect. And I feel like pulling that discipline along with your uncomfortable is another game. What do you guys feel on that? Discipline and uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, I mean, you brought it back to where it started, like the whole thing of it's hard to progress without being uncomfortable. I mean, you need some discipline to like sit upright when you don't fucking feel like it. Can I swear?
Too late.
Too late. And like how you would roll your wrists to make that note come back. I mean, that doesn't feel natural. Whatever's natural feels easy usually, right? So you need to, if you're going to progress and do something in a unique, I mean, the reason something is so fascinating often is because it's not natural, and so it's unique, and so you have to like work to get it, and it takes discomfort to get there to that progression.
I'll tell you, your discomfort, something that was discomfortable, becomes comfortable. And an example of that is like when I was doing aerial silks, some years back, not like terribly regular, but it was regular enough. It was so painful to put my foot in the foot wrap. I was like, I can't believe people are doing this. This is terrible. It's just constant pain. What the heck? This is so wrong. Everyone here must be a complete masochist. But then, which is probably true, but that's, but then like, a couple months of like more steady, making more of a steady wish to, the aerial silks, like progress, like showing up for the classes or just like the practicing of it, that feeling of the pain on the foot, it wasn't there anymore. It's like, it just blew my mind. So yeah, a benefit of sitting through that uncomfortable is you gain the callus or the fortitude or the stamina. And it's so true in all aspects, mentally, physically, whatever. Know what you're tending to, but you do get the reward if you continue your steady wish.
So I think that touches on my thoughts on discipline, the proper role of discipline when it comes to being uncomfortable. I think discipline is a tool used to get through uncomfortable things that you don't find pleasant, because there's uncomfortable things that you find pleasant too. Like those are the easy ones to do, but
Yeah.
like for a lot of people that, I guess maybe a lot of people nowadays, maybe it's always been that way, but it seems to be that a lot of people find uncomfortableness unpleasant no matter what. And that's where the discipline aspect is important. People need to focus on that, learn that, so then they can get through and expand their horizons. And it will, one hopes, become a snowball effect where you do get out of your comfort zone, and then it's easier to get out of your comfort zone the next time,
Mm-hmm.
so on.
What are some ways to build discipline?
Habit forming, maybe. I guess if you, I feel like everything we do is, we're creatures of habit. So if you, it might boil down to just mental awareness. But some ways to help you get through stuff is just forming habits, I think. Like making it easier to do things, you know. But the key goes back to the mental awareness is you have to realize the problem before it gets to you. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to have trouble working out every day, so I'm going to put my weights right next to my bed, so when I wake up, I'll lift or something. Then you're being proactive. And if you think you can be reactive, you're probably going to fail.
What does reactive mean? What's like a definition that comes to mind?
So like when something happens, then you act in response to the problem rather than getting ahead of it, I guess. So like an example, do you want an example or?
Yeah, like the weight would come flying at you versus you picking up the weight.
No,
Reactive.
reactive. Yeah, that's. I would say more reacting to the problem of not wanting to work out, like waiting to where you're like, okay, you know, it's, I don't know, 7 o'clock at night and you haven't worked out, like, and then it just keeps becoming a habit that way. It's, you think the reactive way is to think like, oh, I have time to, like when I feel like not working out, then I'll just tell myself I gotta work out. And a lot of times that's not gonna work, or it's not gonna be as easy because you're gonna find excuses. Obviously you're in a mindset where you don't want to work out. So you're gonna want to stay in that mindset. Like,
Yeah, then you don't enjoy it.
right.
It's like that whole thing, and it's like atomic habits, like, or you know, just like making things simple. Like you were saying, setting your weights out where you see them, like having the clothes you want to be wearing for it right there, having like what am I gonna do right after, or like whenever I go to the bathroom, I do 5 push-ups right after I'm done. You know, it's like making triggers too. You can make like triggers for that, so then it's more automatic. It's like, oh, it's just 5, I can do 5. Like so my clients, whenever I have them come in, it's really hard to get people to do exercises, so like I walk them through the exercises in our sessions. We just do a small amount. I have them breathe, I have them really tune into their body so that it's not this hard thing they have to figure out when they're home. They have embodied an understanding of what it's going to be like when they are home, so it's easier for them. And I tell them, if you don't do it at home, it's fine, just be honest and we'll keep working on it here. And then when I can tell that maybe it's been a couple months that they've been doing it in our sessions, then I'll say, so when you're home, I'm going to make it as easy as possible. If it's a leg lift thing, you're going to put 3 pillows under your thigh so that it's lifting your leg, and you're just going to engage that little bit at the top. Just like make it as easy as possible so that the habit is forming. Don't make yourself work hard if you don't like that feeling. And then the mind-body connection, that synapse is created to say like, well, I already know how to do it, so it's easy. And then you can take a pillow away, you know, and then there's just 2, and so on. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm a person who does this. It becomes part of your identity because you've integrated it slowly over time.
Perfect.
Bravo. You helped make the neural pathway, or but it's a habit. It's the approach to what was needed. Yeah, and so, but not to overwhelm your clients. Just like, here's a way that fits into your life, which I suppose it takes some investigation to get to know them better. But like, that's really cool to have someone on the outside saying, look, you need to do this, and I know that you know it, but let's look at how it can at least start just a little bit. And then it's cool how you know that, like, as long as it's a habit, it can build from there. Because yeah, then the mind body connection, like you're saying, will start to send the signals and want to keep developing that. Yeah, bravo. That's the right way to do it.
I've done that with diet, like, and that's what I tell people too. Like, you know, if you want to eat healthier, just pick one thing to cut out at a time. Don't do like some crazy diet because you're probably gonna fail. Like you do it. I mean, it's taken me years to eat what I consider decently healthy. I mean, I'm not like really strict, but to other people, it's like, whoa, you don't have this or this or this or this, and it's like, yeah, but I didn't like just go from eating all that to not eating it. I
Right.
cut back on one thing at a time, and you got to take these baby steps. As long as you're moving forward every day, like you're you know, as long as you're moving forward, you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Any wish.
Too hard on yourself when you like
Mhm.
pause.
Yeah. That's too hard on yourself. You don't want to rewire that too hard on yourself aspect. You just want that positive, like positive reward. You know, you did good, and then like, okay, sloughed off. That's all it was, little slough off. But you know the main trajectory that you're going for. Like you know the theme that you're building up. You don't have to get so hard on yourself. Yeah, because we can be such our own judges, such critical creatures, so easy. And
Are-
that's
are you-
something.
Are you flicking your microphone or something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's going on?
Say all this, but I wanted there to be a beat.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I knew it.
Kari, June, what's your last thoughts?
Yeah.
Practice being uncomfortable. Practice little by little. Grab a friend, use your community, make little goals, little plans, and practice being uncomfortable and then talking about what you learned with that person or those people. Because if you have community in it, that really helps. If you don't, have like some dialogue with yourself, journal, habit tracker, something like that, because life is going to come at you, and if you practice being uncomfortable, you'll be more resilient when shit hits the fan.
I like how that brought it back to the beginning, basically. We just kind of brought it all back together.
Summarized it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys, your thoughts are in my mind now. I mean, I've embodied some of your essence, some of your ways of being. So
We can
hope,
together.
I hope it's all good.
very good.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll be expecting that book by next week, right?
Oh, you get it sometime.
I suppose Sage and I can share.
We will.